Hi, it's your girl, Sayuri Smith-Timmons, back with another episode of the Mass Exodus podcast. I am so excited to be back. I took a week off, but I'm going to tell you something. I needed that break, and I am so excited to be back. I came back with a bang. It's getting ready to be on and popping today. You hear what I say? So I have, of course, I've been on Clubhouse. Found another amazing person on there. Went in one of them rooms where they're talking about sex trafficking, and we were on stage together. And it was funny because we was kind of tag teaming the people. You know what I mean? They was asking the questions, and we was answering them. But I mean, as a person who works with sex trafficking survivors, I'm not really a person that speaks from experience. I speak as a person who is an advocate. But this woman who I have on my show today, I am just so excited that she is so vibrant and willing to share her story. She is willing to share testimony. She has written a book. Let me tell y'all something. Now, this is the Mass Exodus podcast, right? Look at the name of this book. The Exodus, where new beginnings happen. I'm gonna tell you something. When I found out that this lady wrote this book, first of all, I had already asked her to be on the show, but when I found out that this was the name of her book, like I just couldn't get her on here quick enough. But and it's crazy because we have scheduled this long time ago, and it's just now coming together because this is when our schedules are compatible. But look, I am so excited to introduce author, advocate, fireball survivor, Mrs. Nancy Yarbrough. Yay! Welcome. Okay, you're muted.
Hey,
welcome. I am so excited. Thank you so much for taking it out to. First of all, thank you for sending me the book, sending me the journal, and just letting me get on this ride with you. And I mean, that really helps me pull out a lot of your story. But I do want you to tell your own story. But I do want to just say, look, y'all, you got to go and find this book right here. It's called The Exodus. And it's a memoir. It's a journal to go with it, because it's like this. As you read her story about certain things that she dealt with and went through, it will make you think about stuff that you went through. And I think that that's genius for you to have a journal to go with the book, so that people, as they're reading, they can reflect. And when they start feeling all these feelings and emotions, and they're starting to, that's actually also an opportunity for them to purge and to get some of that stuff out and actually experience their own exodus while they're reading about yours. So just do however you want to start. Go ahead and start. But I'm going to just say, I'm ready.
Well, there it is. Listen, I tell you, when the stars collide, right? When it's
right.
God's moment for people to get together and to express what it is that he has for somebody to hear, not only for the hearer, but for the one that's speaking. So when you said that, my publisher, which is Talk Consultants, did a wonderful job helping to put pen to paper to publish. And the thing about that was, you walk around as an epistle read of man, right? People read about your life as your journey goes, but it's only in different segments that they get a chance to see you. So sometimes they know you from when you were in middle school or elementary school or high school, but they missed that whole journey when you were in your wilderness moments, when you were pulled in by, the glitter of life. And when that happened, a lot of the things that you didn't realize that you would end up living through or going through comes to fruition in a book, right? Where the Exodus, where new beginnings happen, was born. I tell you, it was amazing how this occurred, because some things you just don't want people to know, because once you put it out there in ink and put it out there in publish, you can't take it back. But it was the time for it to happen. that companion journal that goes along with it is indeed exactly what you said. It gives a person the opportunity to say, this is not just a good read. This is not just a feel good or heartfelt moment for somebody else's tragedy, but it's your turn to say, what didn't I deal with when I was a child? What are some things I wish that would have happened different? What are those isolated moments when the first time I felt abandoned, ashamed, misused, abused? And it doesn't necessarily have to end up on the track of being exploited or trafficked by another human being. It is all about unresolved traumas, and we all have them, whether that was being bullied in school like I was, like the first experience of sex, being raped, like unwanted touches growing up, all of those chronic things that end up happening where it becomes a family secret or normalized is inside of that book. One lady, and I'll share this part, one lady read this book and said that it helped her with her eating addiction, because addiction is addiction. Right. So it's not just tailored to those that have been trafficked. It's any life traumas unresolved or experiences in life where you need to figure out, where did I get lost? Why am I in this space of being stuck and stagnant? And I don't understand how to get out. Those kind of things are there to help us identify the cycles, the brokenness, the genesis, the eternity forever, just some of the titles that God gave for this very moment. So I'm excited to share this space with you. And yes, on Clubhouse, it was like tag team back again, so
it really was. It really was. I remember when I was explaining something, and one of the people was like, "Huh?" And I was like, "Can you help? Can you help me? Can you help me explain? Can you just tell them?" And the thing about just being so transparent, right? A lot of people are so uncomfortable with your transparency because of their inability to handle their own stuff. I just want to say a word, right? I'm gonna say a word, and I want you to just go, and then I'm gonna tell you what I'm talking about from your book. So the word betrayal. Go. Betrayal.
Okay. Go. Right. Go. Betrayal. A leading factor, right, in the pull to being groomed. When you have somebody that's in your life that's very significant, somebody that you love like a sister, somebody that's just so close to you, you feel like you inside each other's skin, that when they saw you, you saw them. When they saw them, they saw you. And at a moment's tragedy, when something that you really believe that this person would be there for you and not turn and leave you in a space where you felt so alone, but you were the one that went back to help them not be in that same predicament. Betrayal. Betrayal is something that is inside of your heart so deep that you don't even know how to explain it to the person that betrayed you. To this day, I've never had that conversation with her, letting her know that, hey, this is how I felt when you left me there to have these guys have their way with me. You jumped out the window and you left me. Like, how do you do that? How does that happen when we were running together? We came up the stairs, forced up into this house together. They dragged me in the room and had you out there, and you leave me there when I came back for you. Betrayal. Go back in your mind and think when somebody betrayed your heart. And how did that make you feel? Like that's a whole nother thing other than intimate partnership. When you're with somebody and they cheat on you, that's a whole different level. Right. Betrayal is so deep. It goes into the heart past that, because it's so much more that you feel like you and that person are like this, like nothing could break you.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something. When I was reading it, I actually came across a room, and the name of a title of a sermon went forth. It was called "If It Wasn't for Judas." And I just want, and as I was reading it last night, I was like, you know what? Anytime somebody put you in a situation where you have something in common with Jesus, it's really a blessing, and you have to find it. You see what I'm saying? And so when I was hearing the betrayal, because I was like, I know she's not finna leave her. I know she's not finna leave. What? And then when you got left in the situation that you were in, and I don't want to tell the book because I want y'all to go get the book. When you are abandoned in a situation where you are actually there to show up for somebody else, it's like that puts you closer to Jesus.
In such a way. My breadcrumbs of love I talk about all the time.
Yeah.
That's so true. And I love the fact that you use that word abandonment. A lot of people
Mm,
don't a lot of people don't resonate with that abandonment, of the heart, how your heart feels abandoned, like nobody understands, nobody cares, nobody gets it. um how many times do I have to share in a way that makes somebody say anything understood, don't need explanation, and you're just in a room full of people that know the song, you know and it sounds so beautiful to hear somebody say the next verse without you even having to say it. But when you're in the room by yourself, it feels like a crowded room and nobody gets it, nobody understands. It's just one of those things where it takes a long time to heal from a heart being abandoned. You know, and again, we talk about that a lot in the book too. How many times was my heart, as the person's heart that has their snippet inside the book, were abandoned? The person that was closest to you, you felt like there was a gap in between you guys, and it led to such a long road across trying to figure out what you did wrong. Abandonment always challenges yourself to think, what did I do wrong? Why didn't they love me? Why didn't they care enough to care? Why did they leave me? Why did they do this and that? And sometimes, like you just said, I love that abandonment or that betrayal gets you closer to what it is that God wants you to do with him and through him. Is that conduit, there's a conduit back to Jesus, right? Because he said, I would never leave you or forsake you. I'll be with you always, even to the ends of the earth, which is a beautiful thing to fall back on.
right, it is. But when you're dealing with pain, right? And I talked about this last night in a room. There are three things that I've learned three ways that you deal with pain is that you either numb it, you transfer it, or you heal from it, right? So let me ask you about your numbing stage, because we talked about pain and we kind of discussed some reasons why you may have been in pain, but let's talk about what it was like when you were in your numbing place.
Yeah, okay, there it is, right? Again, we take it off, right? It's that number. It reminded me as soon as you said that, I thought about Novocaine when you're at a dentist, and all of a sudden they said you're going to feel a sharp pain, and then you'll feel numb. You know, and they go to touching your jaw and do it. You can't even feel your own jaw. You don't have any control over the saliva in your mouth and all of that, right? So those numbing moments. I had a coping mechanism for those numbing moments, and I got heavily involved with drinking and using cocaine for that numbing experience so that it could take me away from the hurt that I was experiencing in a lot of areas. I mean, I was pulled into the game at a very young age. So that means that I didn't have much of a childhood, and the childhood that I had a lot of, wrinkles in it and a lot of things that happened, but it also had a lot of good moments. But when you talk about numbing the pain, there was nothing like cracking open a beer and having some gin and getting you a bag of dope and getting high and acting like you was somebody that you weren't. That numbing part for me turned me into a whole different character, right? I had a whole different name. I wasn't using my government issued or my name that my mother and father gave me at birth. I had a whole street name, street credibility. That numbing part of what that does is causes you to go into a metamorphosis, right? You turn into a whole nother person other than who you want to be, who you are initially, because that person there is hurt. That person right there feels some things. This other person feels nothing except of how to get it and get it done, right? A go getter,
Right,
right?
right, right. And so yeah, it's always interesting to understand, like, when people are experiencing addiction, it's to numb some kind of pain.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we're not talking about the pain, we're just talking about the addiction. Just stop using, just stop using. It's like, what are we trying to get past? What are we trying to cover? What are we drinking against? Or what are we, drugging against? That's the question. A lot of people who don't have experience with dealing with illegal addictions, because some of y'all eat when y'all get sad. That's why y'all big. But anyway, so it's like when you And y'all be judging people who on drugs, but if you having the same emotions, right? And you having the same response, but you're just using a drug that is, not illegal and is not having a negative effect on other people so much. But just to know that you are numbing yourself. I wanted to bring that out because a lot of times people are eating emotionally. Like you said, you help somebody with their emotional eating with your book, and you wasn't even talking about eating because it's not about the drugs. It's about the pain and what you're doing about it.
That addiction is very real. And when you were talking, I was thinking about a part in the book that talks about your broken pieces shattered, cuts into somebody else. So while you're watching somebody numb or be numb in situations, but you don't realize those cycles that they were in, which is another part that we talk about a lot too. The cycles keep you sick. Secrets keep you sick. Addiction keeps you sick. All those things and those cycles are those numbing processes. I always tell people, when training and doing exercises that talk about awareness or prevention from any life traumas, you got to get to the root of that thing. And I'm glad you brought that up because nobody I have ever met ever said I woke up and wanted to be a street level prostitute or a high class prostitute or have illicit sex with people or pulled into exploitation or wanted to wake up to be a pipe head or wanted to come and smoke a weed head. She's like, hey, so we're talking about something. They don't feel like nothing wrong with that. I smoke weed every day in and day out. I can't go 2 hours without smoking a blunt. You don't think that's a problem? But we bring out the bigger things. When it comes to drug addiction or drug use, but I don't haven't met anybody that ever wanted to end up in a situation of uncontrol, not having control, losing control, losing the very fiber of loving themselves enough to understand the difference. I never woke up wanting to be a drug addict. It happened over a period of time, but all the other things associated with it was the thing that kept you there. Just like with anything with sexual exploitation. Why didn't they get out? Why did they leave? Domestic issues. Why didn't you just leave? Because it's more than just the leaving. What am I going to do after I leave? And people don't talk about that part. What do you do after you take a person out of a place where they've been secure in for a while, especially if it's meeting all of those needs for them: food, clothes, shelter, feeling of love, acceptance, all those things. But you take me out of that, even though you see that there's something wrong with it. I can't see that yet. My eyes are still blinded. So you take me out of it, and you think that you place me over here and you start telling me how much you love me and how much you want to see me get better. But it sounds just like what he said or what she said. But this time it's absence of the numbing agent that helped me to think that love was actually real. Now you talking to me, I don't resonate with that because you showing me the same thing. It's the words. Where's the actions?
Wow.
Everywhere we go, there we are. We're the same person that when we were in an addictive relationship or into addiction or with a side-eyed hero or whatever the case may be, we were still our same person that was the giver.
Yeah.
Who's the same person that went above and beyond. So what needs to change with us is us. It's not the person telling us what we need to do. We have to be there to figure that out. Accountability is everything. And that's what keeps people sick and in those cycles longer than they like to be, because you can point the finger at so many people and stay sick. That's what kept me in that cycle of addiction for multiple years, in and out. I could kept going. If he hadn't hit me, she hadn't done it, if they hadn't done it, if my parents had not got divorced, if this wouldn't have happened, if he wouldn't have put his hands on me, if I had, that part. We don't talk about that enough to say, all right, stop for a moment, Nancy. What part did you play in that? But he raped me. Okay. And he did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now you out of that house, you out of that building, you're safe at home. Now what do you need to do? That's when the work starts. When I can stop blaming other people for everything that's still manifested in me. At some point, I got to start doing some hard work. At some point, I got to start allowing myself to feel what it is to have that fear, that abandonment, those things that were happening to me, the less than, the feeling less than. When it comes to that, what do you do then? That's when that healing starts. That's when you start not becoming the victim anymore. You start becoming the thriver in it. Because that one thing is true. I always tell people, don't let people rent space free in your head and pay to be there. Be your own landlord. Evict them out of your head. They going on with their life. Yes, that did happen. It may have happened for multiple years with 5 different partners. But guess what? It's something in you that needs to change. because you keep on having this wounded warrior project that you keep going into the fields of your life and picking up these half of dudes and bringing them on home to think you can care for them like a medic. I'm tired of being Nurse Nancy, you know.
Uh-oh.
I don't want to be her. So how do I stop myself from doing that? Even of the absence of the drugs, the alcohol, the abuse, you're still abusing yourself because you don't allow yourself to realize that you're worth more. Stop for a minute and ask yourself, where's my worth?
Mm.
The Exodus, right? We talk about the Exodus, a mass Exodus. We talk about how Moses and the children of Israel were in that moment of that journey that could have been so short, but yet they're stiff-necked, their hard-headedness, the things that caused them to stay in that wilderness moment for a longer period of time. Then they long to go back to their captive. They long to go back into bondage because they remember the things that they had or that was provided for them then, but they didn't realize or think about the whole movie. Play the whole movie out before you start thinking that you're missing something. Don't stop at the good stuff, you know?
That's good. That's good because okay, so you said a couple of things, but I guess I'm gonna go backwards. You're right because like a lot of times when I'm talking to women who have transition or in transition, I like to start with the worst day. Like, what's the worst day? Because I want you to keep that in the front of your mind. Because when it gets hard, the only thing you remember is how amazing it was.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You don't remember the bad part. You don't remember why you made the call to get out. You don't remember the desperation or how frustrated you was when you was in their life. And you can't remember even why you tried to leave in the first place. The only thing you're going to remember is how amazing it was, right? But that's why I want you to remember why you made the call in the first place. But then I want to go back to what you were talking about, the work that you have to do. A lot of times people, from my experience, what I have seen, that they overcorrect themselves, right? Where they're numbing. And then when they come out of numbing themselves, they start feeling everything. So they want everybody else to feel everything. So that's when we go to the transferring of the pain. And so it's like, well, I'm going to make everybody else feel my whatever.
Yeah, that identity crisis, right? What do you do in an identity crisis? I heard this at a church sermon, and it was so profound. They were talking about the guy that was sitting at the pool of Bethesda for all those years. And then along comes Jesus, right? That encounter. And he asked him, did he want to be made whole? He went right into the same spiel that he always gave everybody else. That every time the water is troubled, an angel come and trouble the water before I can get there. I can't get in. I've been sitting on the side of here waiting to get in. And he didn't ask you that. He asked you, do you want to be made whole? But we get so used to giving our trauma response to identify who we are that we don't realize that we're more than just our trauma. But if we take away that identity, who are we? And a lot of times that's what ends up happening to abusive situations or those that have been pulled into exploitation or any type of life trauma. When you don't know how to face it without it, you always lead with it. I had to remember the opposite part for me, because when I came out of life trauma and checked off all the boxes that society wants you to have, like I went to school, got my degree, I did this, I own a house, I'm raising my children, I'm off of drugs, I gave my life to Christ, all those check boxes. But in the inside, I was still messed up because I hadn't dealt with the fact that I was in that predicament or that situation, and I did have life trauma that I still need to figure out what it is and what part that I haven't let go of. It's the skeleton cleaning, closet cleaning, Pandora box opening, sweeping around your own front door happening kind of thing that it takes a lot of guts and effort. How far are you willing to go back to clean that all up so every time you open up your mouth, you don't have to leave with your trauma, right? When people ask me, share your journey, I'll be like, okay, so I can tell you about some things, but I don't know where to start at or what you need to hear. So I defer to God. Lord, what do they need to hear right now? Do they need to hear this triumphant part that in the end we win? Or they need to hear about the part where, as a little girl, or do they need to hear about the bullying, the body shaming, or they need to hear about the CEO, nonprofit business owner, author, wife, grandma, homeowner, extraordinaire, whatever it is, we have to realize that we're more than the sum of our trauma. And that really got me to talk about that man, the pool of Bethesda, kept on talking about his story. But he said, pick up your pen and walk. Now he didn't have that story. So the next time he saw somebody, he couldn't use that one. He needed to identify who he was now, because now he was made whole. Let's talk about that part for a minute, right? I can't hear you. Uh-oh. You're still muted.
Okay, I was pressing muted when I'm muting, but yeah, I'm thinking about. I'm sorry, but like the main whole part. A lot of times it's a lot of times we spend time trying to convince other people that we are whole and we are good
Mm-hmm.
when we're really not. And so it's not about convincing nobody but yourself. It's not about it's about making sure that you know that you know about you, and other people will catch on or not.
That's it. That's it.
And they will remind you or they will accept it or not. It's we can't be focusing on other people's opinion at that point, because
Yeah.
a lot of times we get wrapped up in making sure that everybody know that we done made it, or everybody know.
That's it.
And so it's like you need to know for yourself. And when you know for yourself, you don't even have to explain it. People will catch on. And the people who don't like that will get away from you,
That's it.
because you're going to just be you. And a lot of times it's very painful to hear that or see that there's certain people that don't want to be bothered with you unless you are that person.
Yep. My son said this very profound thing to me too. He said, I was going through that moment where I didn't understand why people were falling off or falling away, but you outgrew those people, and it's not in a bad sense. It's just the places that they go, you don't go anymore. The things they do, you don't do anymore. And you don't have that same longing for that type of you know, behavioral process, or that's not the thing that, catches you in a way that it brings your heart joy. Like your whole different life scenario has changed. And a lot of times once that happens and you still looking at why they still treat me like this or say these kind of things, because they still see you where you were at. My son said that one time to me, and I just bust out crying because I didn't understand why a couple of particular people that I thought were real near and dear to my heart, that they was my ace boon cool, my best friend for life, BFF and all the way, right? They had some really, really harsh things to say in a way that they still had me back when I was a prima donna pipehead, right? And I had long came out of that, but for them, they still kept me in a space where they remember me because they were still there. And it's really funny when you feel that tearing away from things and people and places that you no longer long to go back. That's that victory that Christ Jesus only gives. And it's not to toot your own horn. It's still always in humility and in respect of the saying that out of the myriad of people, God, you chose me and I accepted the call. And you're right. It's not da, 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 da. You don't need to make, some kind of, here comes Nancy kind of thing. But you do need to say when they see you who you are now. Let me introduce you to Nancy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting to know her too, and she's pretty cool, right? Now you knew Kim, you knew Brown Sugar, you knew Livewire, you knew all those people because that's who entertained you. That's who put the money on the wood and made it good, right? That's who had was the life of the party, right? That's who you called when you wanted to get it cracking, right? Now you call and say, "Hey, what you doing?" "Oh, I'm here watching TV, getting ready for Bible study."
Mm-hmm.
For a long period of time, people are waiting for you to come back through those doors, and they're still in the wilderness moments, or they still haven't had a breakthrough, or maybe they never will. Maybe they are okay and comfortable in where they are. And that's that thing too that people don't talk about a lot. For myself, that I had to realize you can't take everybody with you.
Correct.
One, they ain't ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you trying to pull, drag, knock down, kidnap somebody from the life that they want to still be in?
Right.
And you putting yourself in a space to being hurt because you wanted that same thing when somebody wanted it for you and you didn't want it. How did that make you feel? You judging me. Why you judging me? I had to stop that and treat people how they are, where they are, with the manner of respect that's needed. If you're starting to get high or starting to get buzzed, I'm leaving. That don't mean I can't come by your house and say, "Hey, what's up?" When I see the party starting to crack, I gotta go.
Right.
Right? That doesn't mean that I'm knocking you for doing it. But at first I had this mentality where I could not be around any of it because my heart wasn't strong enough. It wasn't because of them, it was because of me. Because I was an addict. Right now, I could have a glass of wine if I chose to, but I choose not to because I was an alcoholic. And alcohol I drank for the numbing process. So I didn't drink just to have a casual drink. I drank to get drunk.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a whole different thing, right? So when people are saying certain things about why don't you do, it ain't because I can't. It's because I choose not to.
And for me, it made me think about when Jesus was on the mountain and Satan came in to tempt him. It's like, why you ask me all these questions about what I'm doing? What are you doing?
What
You
you
see what I'm
do?
saying? Because you don't understand the fight. You don't understand what it took for me to get free and get to a place of where I am. And so for you to even bring that up, I got to ask who sent you. Because that don't sound right to me. That don't sound like the Lord.
Yeah. Who
And
said?
it's not about me judging you. It's about me protecting me because I know how hard I had to fight for me to get to where I'm at. And I'm kind of protective of this girl person now. Like I'm protective of her. It's the inner child a lot of times is who shows up to these adult situations.
Yeah.
And so when we are not protective of that inner child, sometimes that's when the problems start. We just start letting people take advantage and we get pulled in. Hold on. Don't talk to her like that. Don't talk to her like that. Don't do her like that because she had to do some stuff to get some places. And I want to go back to something else you said. It's not for me to get free. It was to glorify God. It was to make sure that people knew who God was. Because it ain't about me. I'm not so amazing. I'm not so smart, sexy, cute, fine. I'm not smart and all of that. You know what I mean? People be like, well, this is what I got out, and this is why I made it. I made it because God chose to save me, and I chose him back. There are a lot of people who did not choose that path. And my whole thing is, I don't know if you know, but this available to you too. If you are trying to get free. Now, if you're good, all right. Because I was good too for a little while. You know what I mean? I don't want to hear about why I need to stop doing what I'm doing. I'm trying to get my money. My money was there. I was getting my money. So if you can't figure out how to help me get my money, don't talk to me at all no more.
That's it.
So that part about trying to help other people, you have to define help because some people like, look, if you ain't trying to help me get my money, that ain't help. If you ain't trying, I ain't worried about my mental health. I ain't worried about my safety, my sanity, none of that. I'm worried about my money. So if you're not worried, you have to figure out what people's currency is.
Mm-hmm.
If God is pulling you to continue to speak to them, you have to just put them on your prayer list and pray for them.
I love that. That's why, it's not only, the author part of it all, right? But there is the part that we do for the outreach part as well through the nonprofit organization. You're totally correct. Just in Bible study the other day, talking about why it is that you don't take the glory for yourself. All glory goes to God. Give honor to men. Give honor where honor is due, but all glory goes to God. When you start talking about how you're doing this and you're helping so many people but God, well, why you I really love that you showed up and you had a good work. Glory be to God, and they're looking at me like, oh, but you had a part. No, glory be to God. Now in humility, I say I thank God for utilizing me and helping me to be able to see the plans that he has for my life. That's why Jeremiah 29:11 is truly one of my all-time favorite scriptures, but there's so many more. But that part about that part, it's not just because he said he knew the plans, right? But when somebody tells you they know what they have in store for you and it's good and not evil, and you realize that the things that are going to happen, you're still covered. And even in that, he told them in that particular passage, they were in captivity, and he was the one that put them there, and he gave them a time that they were going to come out, but still procreate, still live life like you're doing, because I know the plans. When you know that and you go back over your life, you're like, Lord, my God, you knew the plans the whole time. Now, there are some things that we chose, some things that were chosen for us, but at the end and the core of it all, nothing goes to waste. All things work together for the good, and I'm grateful for that. Our street outreach is just what you said, meeting people where they are, right? It's something about meeting somebody where they are. And they call it the trauma-informed care and all of that kind of stuff, but I just call it respect. That RESPECT, right? And it's street respect. It ain't just got nothing to do with I went to school and I learned that if you meet no, harm reduction means not to cause additional harm when you already know harm is there. So you want to reduce the fact of having to ask them about their story, about their journey. Why did you get here? How did you get out? Baby, we got someone. If I didn't come up to you and ask you how to get off these streets, then don't come up to me asking me or telling me how you want me to get off these streets, right? We go out there simply just be a ministry of presence. We're out there. When they come up to the van, they know exactly what we're offering. If they want any of those such things, whether it be our purpose-filled purse, which is toiletry items, whether it be the letter of love that's inside of, whether it's prayer, whether it's a conversation, whether it's hot lunch or bag lunch, whether it is a granola bar and water, if it's a change of clothes or just to say hi, it's them that's initiating that conversation. We just show up. Stay around those same areas and been around those same areas for 5 to 6 years. Have we seen people come off the street? Yes, because they wanted to. And we keep allowing different opportunities for them to come out. Come take a hot shower. You ain't got to stay. Come rest for a little while. You ain't got to stay. Come and let us wash a load of clothes for you. You ain't got to stay. Come have a hot meal at the place. You want to use the phone. You don't have to stay. It's not like you get in there, you locked in. Now, see, I got you here now. What's going to happen? Intervention. Everybody come around, you know. But sometimes people think that that's the right way because that's their mentality, because they love you or care for you. And they're the object of their conversation. And sometimes people don't want you to get help. Going back to what you said, they don't want you to get help because it make them feel better. And
you know what? That's that God complex. Now you don't hit something now, because a lot of people are doing. They show up as God. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, stop, stop doing it. You were making me think about another part of your book. What about the lady that you met at that truck stop? Can you talk about that?
The man I met at the truck stop, or the lady that brought me to the truck stop?
Talk about that whole situation.
Listen, when I was being groomed for the life, again, I was 17 years old. By that time, again, I was introduced to a lot of grown up stuff, and I always call that wearing my big girl panties before I was ready to make them fit. Right. So she was letting me know how to work the truck stops. Right. She was letting me know what to do. They called us lot lizards out there. And watch and learn the Peterbilts, the flatbeds, and all these different type of trucks, and what to watch for on the dashboard, what to listen for on the CB, and all this. And she really, really, and it's so funny when you think about discrimination or the things that they talk about, racism. It's so crazy that it's even that fine line, that marginalization, even when we were out there in those streets, because there was the TA and then there was the 76. The 76 truck stop was where the white girls were at, and the TA was where the black girls were at, because I was fair skinned and had blonde hair. And I was running around with this white girl that was teaching me the ropes. They accepted me on their lot. It was really crazy. But she taught me how to jump in and out the trucks, how to get paid quickly, seriously, and to watch my back, to watch my car. It's amazing how much work goes into even that, about learning how to stay safe out there, whatever you're doing. But then there was a guy one day, I got into his truck, and I had been up for a day and a half or so, and had to go back out to work again. And yep, it was my job. So yep, I was going to work, and I got in his truck, but I was so tired. And he looked at me and asked me, why was I here? Like, what are you doing out here? You did not need to be out here. And I'm looking at him like, who sent you? Like you said, like, what? And the breadcrumbs of love happened again. And he began to just talk to me about getting some rest, getting out the life. I know that you have to go back to your person tonight in the morning. How much would it cost me to keep you here tonight with me so you can be safe? And I'm looking at this man, and I don't know what it was about him that made me trust the words that he was speaking. But I got in the back of his truck and I went to sleep, and he drove me back to the hotel in the morning. And that's when real got real. That's when I realized that my Romeo was not Romeo at all. This man was all about the money, the commodity, and I was his property. Because when I didn't drop it like it was hot, I realized then that I had some kind of quota that I didn't even know I had, because I'm happy to tell him about this man that, thought enough of me and, to let me sleep in his truck. I mean, I got the lights knocked out of my eyes that day. I was hitting the floor, talking about, oh my God. But again, that feeling of abandonment, feeling of fear, what did I do wrong, made me not even think that his hands hitting me was the wrong thing, but what it was for me is a wake up call. Like, I would never do that again. I got to be above my money. But those three people in my life made a significant difference in some of the cycles that I was going through. It was a reality check. The one young lady showing me how, because somebody had showed her how, and this was her job. Like, her brother was her pimp, and then I was with the brother, and he was aspiring to be one, and I was his inspiration. And I wanted to, because it felt like I fit in that societal part of, now I fit where people understood who I was, and I didn't have to. I made up this whole new person, going back to that numbness you talked about, being a part of something. That, and then this man, out of all the people that I done jumped in out these trucks with, here you go, I'm talking about something, I don't need to be here. What you mean? But it gave me a big pause, because you saw something in me that I didn't see, that God always sees, right? And those moments are so defining throughout my whole life. Yeah, when you get that book, you'll see that breadcrumbs of love is all through it. Every time I turned around, there was something that God was doing to let me know his hands was always on my life. And that was the beautiful part.
Yeah. So when you talk about the Romeo, I feel like we're going backwards, and I don't want to tell it in order. I want it to be something where people come the Romeo pimp. A lot of people don't understand that. I think we talked about that in the room when everybody was like, but I found that a lot of times, the women who are coming for help, they're actually experiencing that they're describing their situation as domestic violence when they're actually in a trafficking situation.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people are not aware of the tactics of the Romeo. Would you please share the tactics of Romeo pimps?
Yeah, look, let me put on my old Romeo voice. Baby, see, the thing is this, me without you and you without me is just ludicrous, baby. I mean, I got to have you. My life will not exist without you. How can I breathe without you in my life? I mean, you get into all of those, right? But it's this, the vulnerability that lies in the heart of any female is the emotional response to a man that they're attracted to. For one, that attraction is there, and the Romeo usually is the one that will put it on you like nobody's business, meaning sexually, intimacy, not just the encounter of you all having sexual nature, but the things that he does, that the body massages, the rubbing of the feet, the talking sweet, and it's always about you two, like Bonnie and Clyde. He comes up with these really elaborate things for you to do together before he makes the ask of something that that if you're in a committed relationship, you just ain't gonna do. But he make it sound so good to you, because it's the end result is just you and him. It ain't got nothing to do with you sleeping with nobody, with you, because the end result is you laying next to him is the prize at the end of the night. His mouth is so smooth, and there's Romeo girls too, right? So we can make sure we doing that parallel, because there's Romeo females too, that they come up with these elaborate stories about how much they love you, and at every cost they would give their life for you. They take the bullet for you, but in the end of the day, it's really you taking the bullet for them. But it's that sweet talk, that smooth talk, that heart conversation, that thing that makes you get so attracted, that soul tie winning kind of thing, that have you so enamored about this person you don't even realize. It's almost like a voodoo curse. Like, you constantly, well, spiritually, but we constantly thinking about this person. We want to be around this person. I mean, we love the dirty drawers that they wear. We are willing to do all above all costs. But on the other hand, it looks like they're doing the same thing too. That is what's the tricky part about that Romeo, because he's constantly making sure that you hear these words. I love you, baby. I love you, baby. I love you, baby. That's a bad B right there. That's mine right there. Look, that's my thoroughbred. That B. Listen, I love her. Did you see Red? Listen, she be getting that money, man. Come here, baby. Sit right here. Sit right here on my lap. Sit on daddy's lap for a minute. Like all those things. See, but all of those accolades and all of those expressions of love and all of that wanting to be with you, all that I can't live without you, all that constantly checking up on you, where you at, GPSing you constantly. You think he always want to know where I'm at. That isolation starts to happen. He wants you around him all the time. He's excluding you from family and friends. You're not thinking about any of that, because guess what? He's so smooth it don't seem like anything wrong except that he just loves you. But then you got to ask yourself, like you said, don't just play it and stop it there. What was the worst day? The day that I thought that I was, you know, happy to tell him somebody cared enough about me out there that maybe I don't need to be doing this. And I get there, that Romeo was no Romeo no more. He definitely flipped the script, and that's what ends up happening. Once you prick a Romeo another in a way, they're very narcissistic.
Yes.
Everything that you do, they make it seem like it's everything they do. They make it seem like it's you. You know, every little thing they'll turn it around, and then all of a sudden, you always the one that's apologizing.
Yeah.
You're always the one that's feeling bad about a situation. Because they really got a golden tongue, for real, for real, for real.
Yeah.
It's yeah, yeah,
It's very manipulative. And so when
very.
you said females do it too, I'm like, we need to call them Juliets.
Yeah, no, Romeo and Juliet.
If they got, if you catch you a female one who can talk and sell ice
That's
to a
a whole
festival.
that's a whole nother segment. We're gonna talk about Juliet. Juliet, where are you?
But I do know of some situations where women had female traffickers, and it was kind of like that motherly or that sisterly or that protector, that partner in crime, or I got you. We here, and then all of a sudden, of course, they flip, but they have to create a foundation of love, care, concern. And I just want to go back and tell you that it was a blog I wrote a while back about people who are psycho. And when those crazy people that you connect with, first you think it's the acronym is CAP, CAP. First is cute when they want to find out where you are, they call you all day, they doing that. Next is aggravating, okay, and then it's psycho, okay. The cycle start repeat. So if you feel like somebody is being real cute, like they're kind of smothering you, but you feel like it's cute, just know that it's gonna get aggravated and it has the potential to turn psycho. And those are red flags. Don't paint them another color because them red. Okay.
They're red, very much so. Very much so. Yeah.
Okay, so because I had wrote down some stuff. I want you to talk to me about how Fresh Start Learning was born. How did that come about?
Whew, listen, when we're talking about trying to come and discover who you are and what your purpose is, again, when I was very young, I missed a lot of my opportunities to, one, do the things in order that how the world has them shaped in order, graduate from high school, go to college, that kind of thing. Well, my life kind of went a little backwards from that. I had a child when I was very young, and then having him, and then going to the Army, and then having these bouts with domestic issues and those kind of things, and then going back to school, and then being in school, and everybody in school was talking to me about that I should be a trainer or a teacher, but the low self-esteem had not come up high enough to think I could do anything. I'm just trying to put back the pieces of my life. And the reason why Fresh Start was born and our model is where new beginnings happen, I started doing early childhood education because for my first two born children, I didn't have a lot of time with them, in their formidable years. So I wanted to go back to school to learn every opportunity, the ages and stages, every theory there was about growth and development for children. So I hit the bricks running to school, getting my certificates and degrees in early childhood education. In that, again, those breadcrumbs of love started happening, where a person was telling me, well, you need to teach this. You do so well with this. Took me up underneath their wing, showed me the ropes. I started training at this place called Four Cs. It's a community child care based organization here in Milwaukee. And they let me start teaching some classes that were like shaken baby syndrome, SIDS, child abuse and neglect training. I started training and started getting more comfortable training and learning and being in the room and learning that was a gift that God had given. I'm a teacher, I'm a trainer, I'm an audio learner. But Fresh Start was born because a lot of people kept coming up to me after those classes, telling me about their business, their home life, what was happening with their teenagers, their boyfriends, this and that. I'm like, why are they telling me this? In that moment, I believe for sure that God was allowing me to see that all the neat things that I had packed in my Pandora's box and in my closet and way in the back, because now I'm leading with the fact that I'm clean, I'm saved, I'm sanctified, I went back to school, I'm training. He was like, but you still got all this other stuff. They need to know who you are because of me. So Fresh Start started turning into an advocacy based um, ministry in 2016. But Fresh Start was first a training opportunity. And I guess it was me being trained of how to be able to come from underneath all the trauma that I had hid so beautifully. Looking beautiful on the outside, but messed up on the inside. So we had two prongs. I was doing early childhood education and switched over to advocacy. That's now full blown advocacy, outreach, and temporary housing. So that whole thing was my genesis from the beginning, from my wilderness moments through my exodus out to the promised land, which is the next book, the promised land, right? Because that is what God had initially done. That's why in that book you see the my nemesis and my heroes throughout my life, but you also see the chains of events that led me from one space to the other space, building on the character that God already knew was in me. I was still learning it. I needed to know. And that's indeed what Fresh Start is. Everything that I needed, everything that I went through, everything that I needed, God birthed it back through me, because those are the same ways that other people come out too. It's his way, and this way is through love, care, concern, and not giving up when things get hard, but giving you a plan, a set plan for your life. And that is what we've been doing for the last since 2016, building them on that foundation and our brick and mortar, working with youth, at-risk youth that are at court order, working through curriculum based programs, through Ending the Game, through My Life My Choice, through the Exodus book, where we do curriculum based programming for youth 11 to 17. We do Zoom calls now because the pandemic, where we're helping to identify those things you need to watch for in your neighborhood. So the advocacy part is very real. Being an activist is very real for all these issues, legal wise, otherwise, healthcare wise, because it's not just the absence of you coming off the street. It's about everything else that's needed once you come off. So that Fresh Start is a conduit to all those places. And we really believe that we're stronger together than we are apart. That's why we connect ourselves with people that are doing the work that we don't do, the other part of the ministry. We're not an island by ourselves. This particular trauma is so complex, you need every hand on deck, from the legal part to the healthcare part to the housing initiative. They're helping with schooling. They're helping reunify with children for parenting classes. All that is so needed. When you pull that person off the street, you think, oh, I'm going to give them back their children, get them a house, get them a job. Have you taught them how to budget? Have you taught them how to cook? They might not even know how to cook. We don't think about any of those things. But at Fresh Start, we do, because I was her. She was me. Now she's on the other side of this thing, being the modern day, my son called me the modern day Harriet Tubman, going back into those same streets to help me bondage and kept me captive, to go back to let people know that there is a way out. There is that underground railroad, right? That there is that way out. They deemed her, a slave, but in her heart, she was free. So that's where I'm at, getting people to know you may be deemed whatever it is somebody say, but in your heart, you can be free. You come up from underneath that title that man said you are, and think about who God said you are. You are beautifully and wonderfully made. You have substance. You have worth. You are worth it, and then start working on it. And that's it. That's all. That's it. That's all.
Wow, that's amazing. That's so inspiring. And I just want to say, I just thank God for you. I thank God for your life. I thank God for your testimony. I thank God for your curriculum, your program, your story, your transparency, your tenacity, just everything that you are doing. Um, because it's so much that we are running from. You know what I mean? When we come from this life, and it's hard to face. A lot of people, I was upset, broke, busted, disgusted with people who did not want to help other people leave. But it's like, okay, so you want to run from it. You know what I mean? You want to act like it never happened. Okay, I don't know how you're able to walk and live and function, but really, my pastor told me, he said, if you continue to see a problem, that means you're the solution. And I was like, okay, a lot of people don't feel like they're the solution, but I'm just grateful that you stepped up, instead of running from it and allowing the enemy to beat you down and convince you that you are nothing and you are all of the things that you've been through and you're not worth nothing past it. I'm just glad that that you have been delivered, you've been set free, you are actually helping other people come free without pushing and pulling and prodding, but just by allowing them to for it to naturally and organically happen. That's
Yes.
a blessing. That's a blessing. And a lot of people who are in the fight, and I got to go ahead and just throw a little shade for the people that's out here just trying to just be out here just to say you out here, get in your purpose. You know what I'm saying? Don't be in the way. Okay. And if you have an opportunity to connect with a survivor or somebody who has actually been through it, reach out. Listen, it's a reason why this website is at the bottom of this screen going by real slow so you can catch it and read it. Okay. You can reach out to somebody who have been through it. So, and share the grant money with people who are actually out here trying. She just said that she's not an island. She's not the one person. She's not trying to be the only one that's doing everything. And I don't want the organization, the people that's on this sex trafficking tip, like that they're raping the hashtag. That's what I call it. When y'all are out here just trying to get the money for it and the grant money for something, reach out to somebody who is doing the work and who is doing it. You know what I mean?
That's it.
Okay, wait, I got the website wrong. It's Fresh Start Inc. It's Fresh Start Learning Inc. Okay. It's something about when you have somebody who knows from experience how to help the women. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole different experience that they have, and it authenticates you as a person who wants to help. You don't have to be a person that came from their life and have the same experience, but when you can find other people to put in front of them, they respect you more.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They be like, you know what, you're really trying to help me. You really are out here trying to figure out how to get me some help. It's not about you being the savior or you being the person. You don't have to be the only source. It's okay to partner with other organizations. It's okay. And it's freshstartlearninginc.org. Okay. INC. It's something about the authenticity of somebody's story to help them stay on a path. Because when you have too many people around who haven't really been through nothing and they just talking at you and everything is a theory, you lose hope with trying to stay on that path of being right. Because you like, this might not even be for me. Y'all might have me on a path going somewhere I ain't going. I'm never gonna make it.
It's definitely that partnership that actually makes it work. You can't initially help somebody if they didn't tell you the help that they need. Now, if somebody came to me off the street and said, I always want to be a female wrestler, I wouldn't tell them, girl, you crazy. It ain't what you want to be. I can see you do it. No, you give them the path that it's going to take for them to be able to do it. What endurance classes they have to take, how much stamina they're going to have, what kind of diet they may need to be on, who to connect them with that's in the industry, the real life things that's going to happen, and be alongside of them as much as possible and vet the people before you send them to somebody else. Because like she was just saying, there is so much thing like program pimping. People are out here just for the money, for the money of it all. These program pimps are worse than the pimps that you was underneath. They'll have you out there sharing your journey, sharing your story. They get thousands upon thousands of dollars, and they give you a Walmart gift card or a Starbucks gift card or thank you very much. Don't realize they just did open heart surgery on you in front of everybody, and you got to go home and deal with that. And if you're not careful, that's how you end up back in those cycles of numbing, or when you might get that call from that dude that night. Now your immune system is weak, and you done let this man back in because you didn't had a vision of him because you was up there talking about it. As how prevalent that is with people going back out to that life. If you're not strong enough, and it takes work. I mean, like I've had thought patterns about things, and I've been out the life for years, but those things come back up when you keep talking about certain things and somebody's not there to pray you through it or to close you up, and that means to check on me after you ask me to come have a speaking engagement. Check and make sure that my mental capacity is okay. It's okay to go see a therapist, Black people. It's okay to pray, Black people. It's okay to share your thoughts with someone. It's okay to say no, sisters, survival sisters. If you don't want to talk about it, don't talk about it. Don't let nobody woo you in to sharing something you're not willing to share, because it's a testimony. The testimony is what God has done for you in your life. And if you're not a believer, it's still the testimony should be able to be overcoming, to overachieve, to do something different with your life other than just reliving it like that. Man, the pool of Bethesda. I don't want to get up with your mat and go. I want to be able to say I was strong enough that God gave me the ability to. Now I want to tell the new story, how I survived, how I'm thriving. I don't want to be that 16-year-old girl that was on the truck stop that you keep seeing me as. I'm a whole grown woman. Was she a part of me? Yes. I thank her, for her tenacity and for her strength and for her
Mhm.
not giving up so that I can stand in front of you today and talk about what it is to be on the other side.
Wow. Well, I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful to meet you, and to have connected with you.
Yeah.
And whenever I find somebody, and you are in the Milwaukee area, um, when I find anybody who's, and see, that's the thing, like technology has shrunk the world. So, you don't know who you know where. So it's like, look, now I know somebody in Milwaukee, somebody in Atlanta, the metro Atlanta area. We have to make sure that people are taken care of where they're at. But also I want to make sure that people have your website so that if they feel like they want to connect with you, maybe you said something where they feel like I need to reach out to her. She can do something for me. I keep putting up the Clubhouse. If y'all are on Clubhouse, go and follow her on Clubhouse. Reach out to her on her website. This is the Instagram. It's really important for you to have somebody that that can walk you through. Just like she said, sometimes you are in, and I had somebody the other day DM me, don't know me from a whole nother state, and just pour out to me, and don't know me, but have watched and seen what I do. And it's our function, it's our purpose, it's what we do. So don't feel like, well, she all the way over there. If it's something that you feel like is pulling on you, reach out.
That's
Okay,
it. Got
reach out.
connect, got connections everywhere, just because of
Yes.
just what you just said. There's not, I'm not Milwaukee born, but worldwide, right? We're starting to work in Africa, in Gambia, Africa,
Wow.
because it's global. Everywhere God is, we are. And when He sends us, we go. So if you need to reach out, please do. Doesn't mean that the finances won't reach where you are. I might have a connection already there where you are. There's some things that you don't know. And it was connected together. The more that we connect, the more that we have a safety net for those that are willing and ready to come out.
Yes. Well, I
Yeah.
want to just thank you so, so, so much for taking the time to speak with us on this podcast, the Mass Extra Podcast, where your book, I want to show it one more again. The Exodus, I love it. I love it. The Exodus, where new beginnings happen. Go and get your copy. It is a journal to go with it. It is amazing. It's not a hard read, y'all. Look, but let me tell y'all something. It's heavy. It's light, but it's heavy at the same time. Y'all need to get ready. Um, I mean, if you want to do some self healing before you go see your therapist, sometimes I like to purge first. You know what I'm saying? I like to get some stuff up and then take that to the therapist. So because sometimes you're not gonna let anybody gonna be able to pull it out of you. You do it in your own private time, and then you're able to have an issue that you can take to the mental health professional and get you some help. Okay. I'm thankful for you being on here. And I want you to tune in next time on the Mass Exodus podcast. Thank you so much, Miss Nancy
Thank you.
Yarbrough Banks. You are beautiful. I love you. And I will see y'all next time.
Peace.
Peace.